Okay, so we're going to go back into that file that you were working on last day, making a color filter, the red color filter over the tulip. So you're going to go and open that file again. If you're just working on the same day, of course, you just go. Good to go, and you just keep working. Okay, so here we go. I've already got mine open up at the bottom. I took some more time. Zoom in here to show you the top. This is where I had some issues before. I had a little bit too much color at the top, so I just went really carefully and I used my eraser key, my E key, and I erased that edge up really, really well. Again, the keyboard shortcuts are Z for the Z tool. Hold down the Alt key, click to zoom out, click of course in, click to zoom in as. The E key is your eraser key. And yeah, and if you want to make your eraser bigger or smaller, using the square brackets, right and left makes it bigger and smaller. Get used to using those keyboard shortcuts and use them all the time. And things go really fast for you, and you can do a lot of things with them. So, okay, Z key, Alt, hold it out, and you can see the overall effect. It's quite nice. There we go. There. So you can see that, yeah, the flower now has a brand new look to it. It's starting to come back to life again. Okay, next tool I want to show you guys is going to be the brush tool. And we're going to click on the layer above our rounded rectangle, just because, again, if we mess it up, we want to be able to delete the layer. There we go. So the brush tool is here on the left. You can see it there. These are the different kinds of brush tools you can use. Mixer brush tool is interesting. You can see what that does one day. Color replacement tool, you can see what that does too. Pencil tool is also very similar to the brush tool. As you know, have all sorts of different kinds of edges to it. We're going to pick the brush tool, and we're going to pick our color again. So if you open up the color panel down, the foreground color, pick a different color this time. I'm going to suggest a blue, something dramatically different, and click OK. And you'll notice at the top you have very similar controls. So you have a different type of brush, same types of brushes here. You also have different kinds of sort of fill tools. You've got the airbrush tool. You've got sort of a sparkly kind of a tool that fills in a sparkly pattern, or you have other kinds of patterns and all sorts of different things. And eventually one day you should probably try to experiment with these different ones. For now, just click the first one. This is the soft edge, soft round. You can pick the hard round as well. You can also change the size of your brush right here if you want, and the hardness. And the hardness means how hard the edge is going to be. You can just leave it at 0 because we're picking a soft brush, so we want to keep it pretty soft. Click outside of that. There we go. Now, we're going to zoom into another flower, so press the Z key and hold it over a different flower, and it zooms into that flower. Zoomed a little too much. Press the B key this time. That brings our brush back to life. And notice the fill opacity is at 100 over here. You can just leave it at that for now, because we're going to change our opacity up here and create more or less as we want it. So we're actually going to zoom in a little bit more than that, I think, to start this. Z key, B key, the flow rate. That's how fast, like if you were working with a spray can, for example, and the paint were flowing out of the nozzle, this would be the percentage of how fast the paint flows out of the nozzle. That's what that means. So we'll keep it about 50. It's okay. You can experiment with that a little bit. The opacity, though, let's lower that down so we're not creating so much color over top of our flower, and experiment just to see what it does. Okay, here we go. So you can paint over another flower somewhere, go over the edges and fill it in, and then click on it again to see what happens the second time you do that. You can see right away that it paints 26% more than it did the first time, and the first time it painted 26% of its total flow. So there you go. You can change the amount of flow and have different textures to your color. Now, if you don't like what you did, you can go a couple things. You can go your eraser tool with your E, make your eraser really big, and you can erase it completely as long as your opacity is up at 100%. There you go. You can even erase over top your original flower, and because you're on a different layer, you're not going to get rid of those nice details that you put in. Okay. Back to the B for your brush key again. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with a large brush. So my square bracket, I'll be able to erase my edges afterwards. And I'm just going to hit it once. Boom. That's my one time. I'll do it one more time. Boom, a little bit darker. Now I'm going to make my brush really small. And all these spots that are dark, I'm going to hit a third time. Here we go. Just go over the edges. I'm noticing I'm not getting the detail like I want to go to that section there that I want to get yet, so I'll have to zoom in. I'm going to do that right now. Hit my brush key again, make the brush smaller. Try not to hit the same area because it'll make it darker. There we go. I can make my brush smaller as well and get those details right in those pixels. And I'll make the brush a little bit bigger, about the size. There we go. That way, and I can reduce the size of the brush. Continue on, make it smaller. And I want to follow anything that's dark. Okay. About the same darkness, that is. So these darker parts, I want to hit it with the same brush and the same opacity. There we go. A little bit smaller for this section. Smaller for this one. Okay, and smaller for this one down here. And a little bit down here. And I don't see, that's not very dark down there, but I'll hit this section a little bit. I don't think this section down here is the same flower. I'm going to zoom out just to check it. Yeah, that's the flower behind it, so I'm not going to deal with that one. But I am going to hit this part up top here. Again, the B key. And in here specifically. And I make this actually down here. I think it's the darkest, so I'll just hit this spot here. Just to bring out the contrast with the petals there. Yeah, maybe a little bit up here as well. Up there. A little bit bigger. It's a bigger spot. And a little bit maybe in through here. Notice that it's really dark and it's quite a transition. We reach to the next point, so I want to decrease the opacity to about maybe 10%. Now I can make my brush size a lot bigger and I can hit a larger area and fill in just a little bit darker, not as dark as the original color was. And I want you to play around with the lights and the darks in the flower, making the darker parts darker and the lighter parts you don't touch. Again, play around with your zoom tool, zoom in, your B key for your brush, change your brush size, and play around with it. Get comfortable with changing back and forth. Z key, Alt key, zoom out, and zoom in. See what you're looking at. B key for your brush, brush smaller, and fill in those colors just to darken them a little bit. Okay, up here. It's a big area, so I'm going to make the brush bigger. Let's darken through here, a little bit through here. and just continue on to get the whole flower pretty much taken care of. You can go randomly like I'm doing right now, or you can kind of work systematically if you like. But just be distinct and be accurate with the lights and the darks. Don't cover all the light spots with dark, is what I'm saying. There we go. Smaller brush, just a little bit in through there, and you just want to accentuate it. It's already there. Okay, now I'll zoom out again, see how it turned out. There we go, interesting. Okay, so we've got a fair bit of color that's now onto our flower, and we can increase that if we want to. We can make it more dark, adding a bigger color blast, brush key, make it as big as our flower again. We can make one more, boom, if we like. And now I think we're getting a lot of nice color in there. We don't have a lot of contrast yet though, and the way that we do that is we hit the erase, the E key, the eraser tool, make that smaller, zoom in, and now hit the edges just like you did with the red flower. Erase, and erase all the color that's outside of it. So once again, you can use a big tool to get rid of big sections, and then a small tool and zoom in. Go. To really clean up those sections carefully. Okay, so I'll do a little bit more here. Oopsie. B key. No, erase key. There we go. Going around your edges, cleaning up your edges specifically. There we go. And then you can make your erase tool bigger again, the square brackets, and you can clean up the rest of it. Okay, I'm going to zoom out here and I'll finish this tutorial. Okay, so you can see now that this flower is also starting to gain some definition. I'll finish this up and then I'll post it up so you can see what the final product looks like. If you find, let's say you added too much color on the inside where these light sections are as well, you can erase. You don't have to erase at 100% opacity. I would suggest starting at maybe 10%, and you can work with the different brush sizes. Let's say a big section like this, you can just lighten it up right in the middle. Click in a whole bunch of times, change your brush size, and you can bring a lot of contrast back into your flower. There we go. Anyways, play around with that, have fun. What I'll be looking for again when I'm assessing this project for you is how clean you got the edges, how well you have darks and lights, and how well you were looking to fill those in, and how much contrast you have. Okay, anyhow, enjoy, and yeah, we'll see you in the next video.